Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. We're just days away now from the most important election of our lifetime, and there is so much at stake, folks. So much at stake for our future, for our children's future, for this country's future, and for the sake of national security and everything that comes with a new president. We're obviously all hoping for a great outcome on Tuesday, November 5th, and you guys got to remember to get out and vote and bring everybody with you that you can possibly bring. Today on the show, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Usually we have guests on this show and we're selling books and politicians and stuff like that. It's a little bit different today. I've got a recording artist on the show today. Some of you guys might know him. I'm going to bring him in. His name is Lee Greenwood. I don't know if you don't know him. If you know him, excellent. Lee was at MSG with President Trump on Sunday, and he sort of opened up for him. I want to play the clip for everybody, for you all to check it out. Wow. Lee, every time I hear your song, for you who didn't know who Lee Greenwood was before, you obviously know who he is now. I put the name to the face. Lee, every time I hear your song, it literally gives me the chills. You were at MSG opening up for President Trump, the main act. Lee, your thoughts?
Well, I didn't think I could fill up Madison Square Garden without him. So I was glad. I was honored to be there. It's interesting because we were there most of the day. As I came in through our limo early in the day, every barricade, almost every street, was filled up with people. When we finally got to the event, there was 19,500 people inside, 75,000 people outside. That's a correct number. And everybody was so jammed in the barricades, you could not even move, with people solidly against the barricade, wanting to see President Trump as he came to the Madison Square Garden. So being allowed to come there but they could have easily played my music, and he does every time that he has a rally, if I'm not there in person. He specifically asked me to be there. And as you notice, it's funny, I was standing at the side when Melania walked out, and majestically, oh my gosh, she looked like a queen, and slowly and very calmly walked the stage, waving to the audience, and delivered her message to the public, and then introduced her husband and her president. She turned to face him. I'm coming up the other stairs, and the Secret Service was very adamant, like, you're not going to walk out there till we tell you. I said, well, I'm going to walk when I hear the music. Right. And so somebody talked in the guy's ear that was holding me there, and he went, okay, let him in. So I walked over, and there's another gentleman, Secret Service, guarding the stairway, not looking at me. He's looking at the stage, and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, excuse me, can I go by? And he looked at me like, and then he looked at the microphone and like, who in the heck are you? And then somebody said in his ear, let him go. So that I walked up. I don't believe Melania knew I was standing behind her the entire time until she turned around when the president came onto the stage and then faced me. And then she turned on and faced me as well. And what a wonderful moment that was. I can reflect on the 1984 RNC when I sang, and Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan are standing watching me do the same song. So it's as I look back in all of those years, we're at the 40-year anniversary of God Bless the U.S.A. and the American Patriot CD that was released that year. It's unbelievable. It's hard to believe that I'm still doing this.
Lee, it's funny that you described that whole reaction and transaction with that, because I was sitting you guys had your little VIP area, and then I was about 4 rows up in the seating area. And I'm looking at I'm reading the guest list, and I see Lee Greenwood, and I'm like, he's got to be opening up for the president. And then I see you sitting in the corner, and I see you start walking your cowboy boots on, and I see you take a stop before the stage, and then I see you proceed up. And I as I said to you when we started the show, Lee, every time I hear your song, it literally gives me chills down my back. And it doesn't matter, if I'm hearing it the first time, the second time, or third time in a row. When I grew up in schools, Lee, it was at a time, I'm 30 years old now. It was at a time I considered the best times to have grown up, at least in the millennial era. We got to experience life without cell phones. We got to experience life riding bicycles around the neighborhood, throwing toilet paper on people's houses during Halloween. I'll stop there. That's all I've ever done.
Yeah, sure.
So, I got to experience life both ways. And Lee, the most important thing is I don't even know if they're still doing the Pledge of Allegiance in schools nowadays. It's how long I've been out of school. But when I was in school, Lee, we've got to experience what it was like to be patriotic. And I'll never forget, in one of my grade classes, we'd have these shows. And your song was one of the songs that we had to learn. So it just brings back memories. And if you listen to the words of it, Lee, to every grain, it's literally just chilling. But I'm reading this week that Will Ferrell now is trying to compete with you because he's tired of hearing about your song. Lee, we've seen this transactional issue we're having in America now, where they want to wipe away every fabric that this country was built on. The patrioticness of it, the core being that America is a great place. You just celebrated your 82nd birthday, which I don't believe you, because there's no way you're 82 years old. That's first of all. But in your 82 years on this earth, Lee, working for many presidents, working with many presidents, including many Democrats, what is your thoughts on where this country has gone?
Well, we're in an interesting place. I think more and more we're influenced by world events, as you see Russia trying to take out the Ukraine, and then the attack on Israel, and now the war in Gaza with Hezbollah and Hamas. And we're affected by that, and we shouldn't be. As a country, we should keep our own direction. I am appalled to know that our current administration sent $100 million to Lebanon, and knowing that the money is going to go to the terrorists, when we had people in North Carolina suffering from Hurricane Helene. The irresponsibility of the left and the White House is just, it's unfathomable. I have seen a lot, yes, and I am like you. I was going places without a cell phone, and they say, "How did you get there?" I used a map. Yeah. And it's like, "What's a map?" With a map you open up, it's got streets on it. Well, my phone's got streets on it. I didn't have a phone then. And so learning directions, learning about life, and of course, World War I and II were something extremely critical in America's survival. Right. And we got over it. My father joined the Navy right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So I have military family. My wife and I have been married 32 years. I did not serve in the military. I was 3A in the draft. And so I would have been a good soldier. I like discipline. I like what my wife's tell me to do, and I do it. And so, Kim and I have a wonderful existence. We have two sons that, like you, are 29 and 26. And Dalton is a biotech analyst in Chicago for a financial firm. And our young boy, who was Chancellor Scholar at TCU, is now at the University of Miami, getting a musical degree in production and engineering. And this country has given me that chance. If I was not an American, and to try to just map out where I would have gone early on in my life, it wouldn't have been here. I would probably be in construction, helping my stepfather build hotels, or my grandfather work in the fields. So, here I am, just very lucky and very blessed, and I want to pass that on. And you mentioned about how you build patriotism early in children. I get these videos all the time of kids that are like 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're standing there waving a little flag, and they're singing, "I'm proud to be an American, where these I'm free," and it just warms my heart to know that that people my age passed it to people that your age, and now your people your age are passing it to your kids. Another generation of learning that God Bless the USA, like the national anthem, like God Bless America, and all of those songs that are on my American Patriot CD, by the way, was released this year by Universal on a 33 1/3, which was never released early on. It was only on a CD. So 40 years later, they're releasing the American Patriot CD to make sure people understand patriotism is still alive. America is still the greatest country on the earth. And we have to make sure we honor our veterans who have paid the price.
Yeah, I was telling you before the show, Lou Dobbs was a massive fan of yours. He loved your music. And before he passed away, or after he passed away, his wife had given me a few things of his to remember him by. This American flag pin is one of them, which I wear every single day on the show to remember him. But I was at an event, Lee, a few weeks ago. Well, I'm probably wearing this jacket or one like it, but I put it on every jacket I own. And someone asked me, why are you wearing an American flag? What are you, a politician? And I sat back and I thought, this is really how stupid society has gotten, Lee, that I have to be a politician to wear an American flag. And it was sort of disrespectful, not on that aspect that someone would call me or compare me to a politician, because I like to think I'm a lot more patriotic than some of these people who are sitting there selling out our country in Congress right now. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Lee Greenwood, a great American, an amazing singer, and a staple of President Trump's campaign since 2016. Coming right back with Lee. Stay with us.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
We're back. We're talking with Lee Greenwood, the great Lee Greenwood, one of President Trump's, I think, favorite people. If you saw in that video in the first segment we played, President Trump doesn't hug very many people. So for him to go out there and give Lee a hug, and I could tell, Lee, that you were a little humbled by it as well. Just unbelievable.
Well, as you notice, when I left the stage, he gave me a whack on the back. As a friendly gesture, at the beginning, say, Lee, thanks, man. I can't engage in conversation right now, but I'll talk to you later. I mean, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to sing at least for a minute and a half of my song facing that fantastic couple. And I love them both. I have sang for the First Lady before. On an event in Washington, D.C., and many times for President Trump since 2016. But as you know, and we mentioned before, God Bless the U.S.A. is a song for all Americans. And when I wrote it, it had no political affiliation. I didn't intend it to have it. I am a conservative Christian, and yes, I'm drawn in because of that to use my material in order to do what I think I believe in, and it's conservatism, if you will, and Christianity. That's why we have the God Bless USA Bible. But you go back to the early days of my life and what I stood for. I was probably liberal as a young man. I think, I was running wild. When I got to Nevada, I was 17 years old, opened at the Stars Hotel with my own band and in Vegas, and I worked there 20 years. My gosh, you think I was rocking and rolling. I ran with the Rat Pack and Elvis Presley and all those folks. And I got my country career, and I thought, well, this is the next level. Because now I'm running with Reba McEntire, George Strait, the Oak Ridge Boys, and Barbara Mandrell, and everybody, Garth Brooks. It's like, good grief, and country then took a bigger piece of the pie. And that was about the time I got there in Nashville. It was 1980. And now country is like presenting Lee Greenwood on a stage with the president instead of anybody else. I don't know who else I'd mention.
I'm surprised, Lee, that we haven't gotten more from the left accusing you of being a racist or a xenophobe or any of that garbage, because it seems anybody who associates themselves with President Trump gets called any of those adjectives, Lee, because it's the way they do business. So for you to have passed all of those name callings and all that stuff is truly remarkable. It must mean that you actually are a great human being. And from everything I've seen, Lee, you really do love this country. But if you go to the left and you ask them about us, Lee, as conservatives, they have this to say, or at least their leader, Joe Biden, or de facto leader, Joe Biden has this to say about us.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American. So
we're just a bunch of garbage. And now he's obviously talking about, I don't know if you were there in time at MSG, about Tony, a comedian named Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a comedian. Now, I've had to explain this to people on Twitter, Lee, because I've gotten backlash on both sides, and people agree and disagree. It is what it is. He made a comment about Puerto Rico being an island of floating garbage. Now, if you look into it, Puerto Rico has an issue with landfill issues, that they're running out of space for garbage. Whatever. People took it out of context and out of the wrong way. 2 weeks before that, George Lopez was in Mexico at an event for Kamala Harris where he said all Mexicans are thieves. You didn't hear a word from the right, Lee, because it's comedy, right? And comedy is not reality. And that's the problem that a lot of these people are having. So I'm on Twitter, Lee, and I'm saying, you know what? It maybe wasn't the best timing that he made a joke like that going into the election. But it's comedy. The day we let comedy die in this country, Lee, is the day we let this country die. Then we get this comment from Joe Biden, Lee, and there's less pushback from this comment than from that.
Yeah, I'd have to tell Joe Biden, Mr. President, please stop talking. That's first. And then I would say to Vice President Kamala Harris, please stop talking. Neither one of them can say anything that has any substance at all. And when they do speak, they speak in circles. I've passed the litmus test, and I think the reason is because if you go back to my history when I got to Nashville, Tennessee, and we're not going to talk about the years in Vegas. There were 20 years of those, and I dealt cards in the casinos, and I had no career, really. I was a working musician and a writer and in reviews, but my passion became supporting the military when I got to Nashville. We started a number of our U.S.A. tours, which I had done already as a teenager out of California. I went to Alaska before it was a state. I worked all of the up and down Air Force bases, Marine, Army bases in California. And then when I got to Tennessee, I started traveling with Tennessee National Guard. And we did 16 U.S.A. tours around the world. So right away, I have to mention my passion has been to build homes for wounded warriors. And there's a profound foundation called Helping a Hero, which over the past 12 years, as their ambassador and live performer, we built 220 homes in more than 16 states.
God bless you.
And so I think when you talk about, you want to slap my hand because I'm a conservative, it's really difficult for the left to do that to me as the American patriot. I think that's the thing they have trouble with. And I'm not hostile. My music is not hostile. And so they kind of like sidestep. And recently there was an article about someone else that tried to attack me, and it was completely flat.
Yeah, I mean, and Lee, the thing is, and you're entitled to make as much money as you could possibly make. That's what America's about, right? The American dream. But when you were going out here doing these U.S.A. tours, Lee, I can almost bet you weren't charging them $1 million to sing.
$100 a day.
There you go. But $100 a day. I don't think there's working at McDonald's where you can make less than $100. It's unbelievable. And, you know, if you will, tell the audience, because I don't think many people know about this. When Ronald Reagan sort of brought your song out to like God Bless the USA to use it as his campaign slogan, and obviously we see the parallels between President Trump and Ronald Reagan. It seems he's probably his biggest fan, President Trump being the biggest fan of Ronald Reagan. Tell him what you charged Ronald Reagan to use your song on his campaigns.
Well, interestingly enough, you know, my manager at the time named Jerry Bentley, who's deceased now, unfortunately. He was my manager for 33 years. He was a Marine and wounded in Vietnam. And he understand my appreciation for the military. And he understood about Ronald Reagan being a true American patriot, even though he was an actor. I mean, you remember that show he had on television for a while? I can't remember the name of it was, but he's a true horseman. And he impressed us as a real rural American, somebody that we loved a lot. And so when the campaign reached out to us, Jerry and I talked. I said, don't charge them. I said, let them have it. And he said, we have to charge something. Right. And I said, okay, how about $1? So actually, there was actually a contract for $1 to let them use the campaign, use the song in the campaign.
If that's not a great American, folks, I don't know who is. I remember hearing your song. I'm a New Yorker, Lee, after 9/11, and we're in World Series season now. And it literally just encompasses every time you hear the song. It has to do with something extremely patriotic. Obviously, after 9/11, the country was going through a massive healing period. And to see Lee Greenwood out there on the mound in the I guess it was in New York you were in, right? When you sang it?
I went to New York 3 times. I was sequestered in Los Angeles for the 2 weeks that the planes were not flying. And Mayor Giuliani asked me to come to New York and sing the Firemen's Memorial. I did that at Yankee Stadium. 300 firemen were killed. It was Bette Midler, myself, and Mark Anthony. At that time, President Clinton was there on the stage, and Governor Pataki from New York, and all the cleric, and my wife was with me. We were sobbing in the dugout. It was so emotional. The police commissioner put together a memorial for the policemen that were killed, and I sang at Carnegie Hall 2 weeks later. And then I came back for the fourth game of the World Series. As you mentioned, it's the same time frame as now. And to be there and wear that red, white, and blue jacket, which a lot of people said you shouldn't wear colors and clothing. I said, you know what? I want the rest of the world to know we are not on our knees. We are after the terrorists, and America will have its sports. We love our sports, and you're not going to take that away from us. And so it was an emotional moment the entire time I was in New York, and we went back there quite a few times. It was great to be back again for Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden too. That was awesome.
We need you back here more often, Lee, because we're stuck with people like Beyonce and all these other people. We're just terrible people. I want to take one more quick break and continue this conversation on the other side. Believe it or not, folks, I may have told you Lee was 82 years old, just turned 82 years old, but he's still out there working. We'll tell you what Lee's got up his sleeve. We're coming right back with Lee Greenwood. Stay with us.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra My Pillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic My Pillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size My Pillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use My Pillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size My Pillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
We're back. We're talking with Lee Greenwood. Lee, as we went to break there, we were talking about the celebrities that be now. And there's not very many people like you anymore who care about this country. You really only find it in country. If you look at the other side, the rap music culture, or the hip hop and R&B, you've got guys like P. Diddy running the industry. And we all know the operation P. Diddy has been running now for the last 20 years.
Wow.
How do we get more Lee Greenwoods in this world?
Well, we have I try to be a good image for everyone, and as a footnote to that, my music goes on now for over 4 generations, and we've just released a rock version of God Bless the U.S.A. on iTunes. The pre-sale comes out this Friday. I tried to get it done on my birthday, and my birthday was the same night as Madison Square Garden performance at the rally. It was a little bit late. I couldn't quite get it done, but it's available now. So if people want to hear another version of God Bless the USA that'll rock your world, try that.
Why don't we just play a little clip for him right now, Lee? What do you say? Are we allowed to?
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
That one even gave me bigger chills, Lee. That's available this Friday for pre-order. Folks, I don't ask you guys to do much on the show. Maybe every now and then buy a book or two, but it's for the good of the country and the good of your own knowledge. Go out there and pre-save it, pre-buy it, do everything you can. Apple, where else can they get it, Lee?
Yeah, I want to be on number one on the rock charts. That's the only charts we've never been on. And I'm not a rocker, but I did play a lot of rock music when I was younger. My favorite band, Tower of Power from Oakland, California. I sang Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago. I sang all of that. And as a country artist, we have a little bit more of a contemporary flair. But if you want that song, go to my website, leegreenwood.com, or go to iTunes and click on the pre-sale and download it. That would be cool, man.
Now, Lee, from what I understand, are you still touring?
Yes.
Tell us about where you're going to be over the next few months, years.
Well,
what kind of venues are you doing?
Yeah, I'm in residence at High Point University. I'll be there this next weekend. Of course, I'm going to just go to Mar-a-Lago and watch the election returns first and make sure that we're on the right page here. But I'll be touring all through 2025. So go to leegreenwood.com and see our tour schedule.
God bless you, Lee. I don't know how you do it. I mean, like I said, I'm 30 and I'm looking for every way possible I could to retire. I mean, understand your job's probably a little bit more fun than mine. You have a little bit less enemies than I do, but nonetheless, it's unbelievable. As we wrap up here, Lee, I want to give you the chance as a man who's seen a lot of things. God bless you. You look as healthy as possibly can be. I want to give you an opportunity to tell our audience, the younger folks who tune into this show, the older folks who have grandchildren and children, what we can do, Lee, to get this country back after November 5th, pending, President Trump wins and takes this country back. What can we do to instill the patriotism back in this country that we saw after 9/11, a united country, Lee? And now 9/11 is probably not a good example because we had just come from a bad time, but that was the last time, Lee, I remember this country being united and the American folks sticking together and raising their fist that we're Americans, we're in this together, and it's America versus everybody else. What is your message to those folks, Lee?
Well, the first thing would be don't destroy the past. We try to learn about the future from what we've been through. Don't try to destroy the documents of how we got started. In the God Bless the U.S.A. Bible, you'll find the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, things we should never forget and how this country got started. Those people that signed the Declaration of Independence, they put their lives, their fortunes on the line to start this country. Let's not forget that. We don't owe anybody anything in the world except to be the free country that we are. Every time you go through an airport, anywhere, thank a soldier. That's first and foremost. Teach your kids what patriotism is. Let them be independent thinkers. But when the time to get your age, John, I think they're going to go, yeah, I'm a conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 sisters. I was the only boy in my family. And my father, my father gave us no choice. You have to be conservatives. Now, I went to school down in Daytona Beach, Florida to be a pilot, probably a little bit more conservative. I had teachers who were former Air Force and Navy guys. 2 of my sisters went to liberal arts schools, and it shows that they went to liberal arts schools. Lee, I spent all day on this damn phone, group texting with them, arguing with them about Donald Trump, and they're just so brainwashed. They both work in corporate America. Lee, they're so brainwashed by what they're told, that they're told to say that Trump's a fascist, he's a racist, he's a xenophobe, he's this and that. And it's truly sickening, and it actually makes me upset to think that people think that of him. You and I both know him, and that's not who he is, but that's what this country has come to, Lee. Where could people go out and buy your Bible, everything else, Lee Greenwood?
Go to the website, godblesstheusabible.com. Go to my website, leegreenwood.com. Find all our merchandise, our discography, and our merchandise that will be sale online.
Lee Greenwood, you're a great American. Thanks for everything you've done for this country over the last, we'll call it 82 years. Thanks so much, brother.
It is. Thanks. See ya.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. And thanks to Lee Greenwood. I thought it was important to bring him on the show with everything this country is going through right now and the healing period that we're going to need after Trump wins on Tuesday. It's truly sad what the Democrats have done to this country. But with people like you and I and people like Lee Greenwood, I think we can get out of this mess. And I think we could be a united country once again. I don't see any other way forward without being united. The Marxist Dems on the left have to come to the table and realize President Trump is going to be the next president of the United States, and he means no harm to this country. He wants to do one simple thing: make America great again. He wants the American people to thrive. He wants no wars over in the Middle East. He wants no wars over in Asia. He wants everything to just be calm and people to become rich, Americans to become rich, our industries to become rich. Is that so bad of him to want that from this country? In my opinion, no, but In the Marxist Dems, he's the devil, as they call him, Hitler. He's the furthest thing from it. Folks, thanks so much for joining us today. Please be sure to join us back here tomorrow for the Great America Show as our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. We'll see you back here tomorrow. May God bless you. May God bless America. May God bless the great Lou Dobbs.